What's up, family? This is your girl, Hattie B, and welcome to my first ever Lead Up podcast. Baby, when I tell you I am so excited, I definitely want to give a huge shout out to Ivan and Paige Jones from Collab Create for being such an amazing partner in this space with this setup, because honey, your girl cannot do all the editing or the videos or all of that. So it is good to have friends in spaces that know how to do and utilize their skill set. But I am so excited today because somebody who is near and dear to my heart that I met, I want to say about 2 years ago?
Yes, 2 years.
First, we met at Creative Studios with Abrea Thompson. Shout out to Abrea. And then a year and a half later, we met at the Women Empowerment event with Emily, the owner of Gems in Lancaster, PA. So we have definitely been in some spaces. So ladies and gentlemen, guys, gals, and our non-binary pals, welcome my dear friend, Miss Vanessa Codorniu. Did I say it right?
Codorniu.
Now, I said it right before we got started,
you did. She
right?
really did.
But I'm nervous.
She got it off the bat. She got it the first time. Very rare, very amazing. You're incredible. I'm so glad to be here.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, my love. Your energy is so contagious. And I remember when we first met, I think we sat next to each other, and I kind of felt like we were taking over some of the conversations because, like, you would say something, I'd be like, oh, yeah. And then I would say something, you'd be like, okay, let me tell you about this. So,
and we cried.
And we did cry. And so I love it when two empaths can be in the same space with each other, but also sharing that and sharing our passions as well. So I just want to say thank you so much, really from the bottom of my heart, for being here today. I so adore you. And the work that you have done within Central PA, being one of the first Latina to have a central improv here in Central PA. You are a artist, you're a business coach. So tell us a little bit about you before we dive real deep into the lead up.
I love it. And I feel the same with you. You know, so many people when they're networking, they want to get to it, see what they could get from you, how they're going to level up, what's going to happen. That's wrong, people. It's not going to work like that no more, okay? But you're always like heart first. And I just was like, I cannot wait to do whatever we do. And I think this is going to be just the beginning, really.
Oh, yeah.
It's like there's going to be more. So my name is Vanessa Codorniu, and I'm bilingual, bicultural Latina, born in South America, came here as a child. And Spanish is really my first language. And I have an online business now, 15 years. 15 years full-time, my people, full-time, no other job. And it came out of necessity. Sometimes people are like, I love your entrepreneurial spirit. Child, it's called survival. And then it does become thriving and abundance and flow. But I do feel that a lot of us who create, and I know we're going to get into that later, but let's go back. So 15 years online. I'm a spiritual coach. I'm a business coach. I'm a clinical hypnotist, trained medicine woman. I'm also an artist, an activist, a performer, created the first Latino improv team in all of Pennsylvania. Can you believe that?
That part.
Because I got here and I was like, pero Dios mío, que hay, no hay. And I want to see our stories. On stage. And then I coached the first Black and brown woman on Shush Sisters team. And now they're on their own and I perform with them. Solos Complicados on Shush Sisters. And I've only been here 9 years. Wow. I've done retreats here. I've taken people to Mexico, to Peru. And I also have a podcast 7 years in English, 1 year in Spanish. I've written for Hola Magazine. I've written for Be Latina Magazine. And I love it. People are like, why you do so much? I'm like, where I get to.
Because
it makes me happy.
One life. Right.
Makes
it
me
makes
happy.
you happy, and we only have one life. And I really appreciate, because I think a lot of times when people come from different areas where they are not original from certain places, it takes us a very long time to find ourselves. And what I'm hearing from you is that it didn't take you that long.
It took me 6 years to like it.
Oh,
okay.
I'm from Alabama, so I already know.
Pero when I got here, I was already online, right? So I met my husband online. I moved here for my husband. But it was so lonely because I'm like rocking it online, doing memberships, doing training, certifications, coaching. I know, busy. And then I'm like, great, now I'm in the house. I got the cats, they helped. But then I joined Harrisburg Improv Theater.
Okay.
And I started training. And then I just like, oh, we don't have this. I had to wait 7 years for there to be enough Latinos. So if you're out there, come to the Harrisburg Improv Theater.
Come on now, Harrisburg.
Come out. Yes.
Now they're probably in Lancaster.
Yeah. Now there is. Yes. LIP. I've performed there even before. This is like they're moving into their third.
Okay.
So come out to Lancaster. Come out to Harrisburg, wherever you may be.
Okay.
But I just joined that. And I will say this, that you have to have beginner's mind when you are an expert in something because you're used to knowing what you're talking about. And then you're going to go into a new arena where you're not comfortable being new and making mistakes.
Right.
And I had to. I was like, wow, this is showing me how human I am. Not that my business doesn't, but you get to a certain place with your business where you're at least like, I know I have this level of efficiency, you know what I mean? Mastery in that area. But yeah, it's been a journey. So I got in there and I stayed there.
I'm happy for that. And I think it really aligns with what the Lead Up magazine is really about, because our values is really talking about, you know, breaking those narratives, right? Rebuilding yourself and becoming the leader that you were called to be. And I always tell people that being a leader is not defined by the credentials that are behind your name. It's really how you show up after you have experienced those limits, and what is your legacy that you want to leave. And it doesn't mean like for your children or for your spouse, but what legacy, what is your imprint that you want to leave on communities within this world? So when that day does come, people want to be like, you know what? Vanessa was this, right? Hattie was this. And I was talking to a young woman yesterday about a mentor of mine who passed away. Her name was Vera Cornish. I don't know if you knew her. But when I tell you that lady was a powerhouse, and she was the one who really helped me to get out of my shell and really move forward in public speaking and getting out in the community. And she really showed me what it meant to be a strong Black woman. And although like I had that from my mom and other people that I grew up with, but it was something about her that just clicked for me. And she passed away on the same day that my father passed. And so every time I think about her, every time I drive through Harrisburg, I always get this sense of comfort, because I'm like, wow, you know, the things that I'm doing now is because of Vera. Right. You know what I mean? It's because she saw something in me and who I was going to become years down the road before anybody else did. And so for her, I am so grateful for her being planted and being ordained in my path when she was. And so I'm so grateful for that. So let's get into the first question, okay? Because we have a lot to discuss. So I want to talk about, you said something about coming here, being here for like, what, 8-9 years now?
I can't believe it. I just realized that. Yeah, because I feel like I just got here, but yeah.
Me too. And I hate the snow. The snow is trash, but we ain't going to talk about it right now. But being a woman of color in business, what were some early challenges, or as we say on our brand, like what were some early lemons that shaped your journey as being a woman of color in leadership?
I think that having a spiritual foundation, I rejected like business. I rejected power, the word power, business.
Why did you do that?
Leadership. Because I think I didn't want to do it the way it had been done. And the way, at least for Latinos, you come here, you're going to learn the language, you're going to go through the structure. You're going to learn the structure from inside out. You're going to go be a lawyer, a doctor. You're going to go be a professional. That's like the pressure. You have to be a professional. So to me, I was like, I don't want to do what other people tell me to do. I don't want to do. And so I rejected it. But what I started to realize was that, girl, you are a leader. I've been a leader since I'm a little kid, organizing like games in the back, you know, in the backyard or on the street in New York City in Queens. We lived in an apartment, so it wasn't no backyard, but it was our building's backyard. And which is like there's like a flame within you that's inspired over a cause, a value, an issue, a dream, a vision. And there's something that's lighting you up from inside, and it doesn't let you really chill. It doesn't let you like calm down until you start moving towards it. It's really a calling. And so I rejected in the beginning, so I had to get over that. And then, you know, as I continued my spiritual path, I started to realize, well, power, we all have it. Power is from within. Power is our connection to the divine.
Right.
Power is how we treat each other. It's not power over, which is what we're trained in and the system that we're in.
Especially corporate.
Right. Power within, power with each other, sharing. And so some of the early ones I would say, you know, I think that the regular world or what the corporate world was annoyed with me that I'm a quick thinker, that I am resilient, that when people are like, yeah, it's 5 o'clock, I'm done, I'd be like, no, I want to keep going. And I want to clarify, it wasn't because I was always trying to impress someone to get promoted. It was more like I wanted to get the job done well for me. Can I curse a little bit here? Okay, because like I don't want to half-ass shit.
Right.
I'm going to use my whole ass. Okay. And that's what I say to my husband.
That part.
That part. And so those were some things. First, I had to get over what are the meanings. Self-define what leadership is to me. Self-define what power is to me. Self-define that it's not putting on a suit and putting on the heel and putting on the shoulder pads or whatever it was and going in and trying to be like everybody else to survive. And I get that. Like I'm not criticizing.
Right.
Did I do it at some point? Yes. That's how I got the debate scholarship at Marist College. But at some point, I realized that I just didn't fit in. I realized that my skills and my talents, while they could be used in certain arenas, organizational, visionary, creative, you know, I'm a senior trainer at Bella Abzug Young Women's Leadership Institute as well. I've worked with young women, future women leaders for over 15 years in New York. So I go and I do that. I was someone that I needed to get all my skills and put them in one place and move forward from there.
Right.
But there's not a lot of education, at least going back 20 years or more. And even when I work with young women leaders now, I'm like, look, you may be sitting here and everybody's telling you to go into STEM. That's fine. Go into STEM if you want to. But your profession may not even have been created. Because in high school, we didn't have the internet.
Right.
Right. And that's when I really stepped into. And so I would say that the early lemons was like rejecting definitions that were made by society, having to redefine them. And then I would say that, you know, there was jealousy. There were people in boardrooms and in meetings when I'd have the idea and I'd say it quickly, that then a man would say it. And they'd be like, oh, Brad, you really got that there. And I was like, excuse me, next, you know, and I'd be like, Or you worked really, really hard and somebody would come in and take your, you know, report, your folder, your project and claim it. And I was like, what? And at first, you know, because I'm spiritual, I'll be like, turn the other cheek, turn the other cheek, turn the cheek, turn the cheek. Then you don't have any cheeks left.
Yeah, I only got 4.
Right.
And
those were the things, which is like being looked over, getting promotions, but not getting the pay, seeing other people climb quicker. And also I would say kind of like breaking, like what's presentable within me.
Right.
This part of me is what I know this world wants, this part of me. So in a way, like I would say my early 20s, I was kind of not whole.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? And I remember I met a healer who said to me, you know, someday, and it made me cry at the time. She goes, everybody sees you, you're an event coordinator, you got your makeup, you got your blonde hair, your red lipstick, and your black suit.
Not you being a blonde.
I know, it didn't really look good. I like this more.
Okay.
Even though it's still color because my hair is brown. But I know, but I know it didn't, you know, I was like, no, I'm on fire. You know.
Yeah, I like that color.
Thank
Blonde,
you. But it's good to play. It's good to play. And she was just like, so cute. She was like, she said to me, this healer, she's like, you know what? Right now, you're like doing what you need to do to survive. She goes, this is going to come a time when you're going to get to be all of yourself.
So let's pause there. So you said you dropped a lot of gems, first and foremost. So I want to go back and talk about your flame and ask you, like, when did you notice your flame beginning to be burned out?
Oh, like a burnout?
Like you said, you had this flame, this desire, right? But I think sometimes, especially for women of color, right? I feel like this is something that is embedded in us. This flame that we have is ancestral. And so, like, my flame is bright when I'm doing something that I really love, but also bright when I know that I have to prove myself times 10, because 9 times out of 10, I am the only one in the room. And so I have to make sure that you see and feel my flame, not with an aggression, but understand that the value that I bring to this table can either be more or cultivate a space where all of our flames can burn at the same time. There's nobody bigger. But I do notice that there are moments to where I have to intentionally turn down my flame due to the insecurity, the fragility, the lack of cultural competency, and the this inferiority complex of power, especially when it becomes with white men and women. But another thing that I've noticed that this power complex within my own culture, right? Because we can be on the same playing field, but you better not be better than me. Because if you're better than me, then we're going to have a problem.
In Spanish, I found that it's called quítate tú para ponerme yo, which means you get out so I could go in. Because there's not enough positions.
Right.
Especially, I mean, I think it's still going on now, but when I was working corporate, it's like quítate tú para ponerme yo. So I'll take you out so I can go in.
Right.
So there's a lot of little cutthroat stuff. So I think that my flame started to burn out. Wow. I had a horrible boss. And it was a top PR company in New York. And then I signed an NDA. It's still in action, so I can't. I'm not going to go into that. But I will say this: like literally, she made like Devil Wears Prada look pale in comparison.
Wow!
And like when she walked in, you had to get up with your little clipboard, be like, "Hello," let's say TBS. You know, those are not her initials, but you'd be like, "Hello," and you have to stand up and I remember I was
like a drill sergeant.
Yeah, and I was handling something online. I had 2 screens. This is back in 2008. And I was so tortured. And I knew when I took the job, in 2008 it was very difficult all around to get a job, financial, I think it was some sort of financial drop and all over the country. And so when I got this job, and it was really good pay, it was a $10,000 bonus if you made it through 6 months. That should tell you something. Hey, we'll give you 10,000. I know, but I was like, there were no jobs. So I was, so Spirit's like, all right, you'll be able to do this, but you can't be here too long. And I just saw people dropping. And, people, they wouldn't let you leave. Like you had to go and call for permission to leave. I know people don't believe this. And so I stopped belly dancing, which was my hobby at the time. I was doing women's circles. I was doing a lot of things extracurricular in my life, my real life. And I found that I was coming into work at 8 and staying at work till 9 or 10. And then they would offer their chauffeur, the company chauffeur, to take you home, the driver. But you did have to call in to leave. And I think what really broke me, was when I kept trying to call through and she wouldn't answer. I don't know if she was drunk. I don't know what happened. I don't know if she was on medications. She was slurring. She wouldn't give me the permission. I finally got up at left at 10. I got yelled at by the CFO. So I'm in a cab heading home over the Queensboro Bridge, going into Queens, just looking out with tears. And I was like, I cannot live like this.
Right.
I don't care if it's like a step up. I don't care if it's lucrative. I don't care that I was recommended by a very high up in another financial institution. And I sat down and my mom was like, hang in there. It's really hard. My partner at the time was hang in there. Everybody was, and I just kept praying and praying. And Spirit was like, nice spirit. Spirit's a word for me for God, inner self, divine connection, creator. Creator's like, you got higher up power.
Right.
You don't need to do this.
Right.
So I put on my purple dress. And I was tired. I was exhausted. I gained 25 pounds in that job and I wasn't overeating. It was like I didn't have time. I was there. And then I had to ask for permission. We weren't allowed to take a lunch. They would buy our lunch.
I would have been quit. My lunch is very important to me.
Right. But I lived in New York City. I had no family in the area. I had already been looking for work. And it was 2008. If you think back on that time, it was a very difficult. New York is very competitive. There's a lot of people who want your job.
Yeah, and I'm from Alabama, so I don't know nothing about New York. But
right.
Amen.
And the thing is, that you'll be fired, and there's 8,000 people who have your credentials and want your job, or more, because there's millions in New York. So I wanted to, but my rent was also what was it? It was $1,800 in 2008. Back there.
Right.
So anyway, so I walked in, and so I cried all night. I felt nobody understood. All I could go is within, speak to Creator. I was terrified. How am I going to pay my rent? What's going to happen to me? And I just woke up in the morning. I got dressed in my purple power outfit. And I walked in and I told the CFO, can I talk to you in your office? And he was like, welcome, come into my chambers. I'm like, as long as it ain't the torture chamber. And we closed the door and I came in with demands. And I was like, You're not going to throw me out with a box in my hand. You're going to walk me to the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to lay me off. You're going to give me the money you owe me.
Mm-hmm.
But it all came from really Creator. It all came from within.
Right.
Because there was no one really outside of me saying, you're going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, you'll be all right. You always are.
Right.
But
I hate when people say that, especially because I didn't mean to cut you off,
Yeah.
but that is one phrase that is so triggering to me.
too.
Because it's like, I'm always a strong friend. I'm always a strong one. I'm always
Yes.
a strong. And it's like, people always tell me, oh, Hattie, you got it. You're good at this.
I
and
fired a therapist once because of that.
Well, see, look, my therapist is the bomb. I told
Right,
her
but that
she
was
gonna be with me forever.
She was really good.
Right.
But that day,
I hate
she
that
said,
phrase.
she said, you'll be all right. And then I had another meeting with her. I'm like, I'm going to let you go now.
Yeah.
Because you of all people should have known that I'm always a strong person. I will always survive, but I also need compassion and
Look,
love.
let me look into the camera. Y'all stop telling people they are going to be all right. If somebody is pouring their heart out to you, even as a leader, you have to hold space for them, because 9 times out of 10, they are probably strong in other areas. But if they're coming to you and it's like, look, I need X, Y, and Z, and be like, oh, don't worry about it. You got it. You're going to be all right. You strong. You a strong one. Everybody is not strong. Everybody has their breaking point. You can also say, you know what? I hear you. How can I support you?
That.
What is it that you need in this space, right? What are some resources? Or what me and my director do, I'm like, do we need to go talk to the ducks? Let's have a conversation. Is this a badge off moment? Do you need to get some things off your chest? Because sometimes people just need to let it out. Yeah. But that phrase is basically dismissing and invalidating them in everything that they are experiencing. I have a good friend. She told me, she's like, corporate is kind of like, not kind of, she said it's the Sims, right? She's like, everybody has these little dots and diamonds on top of their head, and we're just moving along.
Exactly.
Right? Like, people just have these strings, these remote controls, the square, the X, and the O, and moving us. And I'm like, thinking about how that transfers into like our daily life, just as people. And I know we got off topic, but
yeah, I like that you shared that.
Yeah,
but I think that was good. We needed to hear that because it was so important. It was a PSA. Take it seriously.
Appreciate it.
And so I went in. I was like, giving my demands, and then I said, I know this sounds like a movie moment to me, but it was like, you may think I'm just some Queens girl who's got nothing. Mm-hmm. I want you to know I have connections with higher ups. It was God. I was talking about God.
Oh, amen.
I wasn't talking about media. I wasn't talking about money and power. But I was serious in my purple dress.
You got to do that.
And I was like, I'm going to tell you something. And I'm in contact with all the 12 people that you have mistreated, you've thrown off. And I'm in contact with higher ups. People in position of...
Was you talking about the disciples?
Right. I was like, people in position of power that will help me. And let me tell you, he let me out. In 2 days, he said, let me think about it. We've got to talk to everybody for 2 days. They came back. They made me sign the NDA. They gave me the $10K that they owed me. That was the bonus.
Okay.
Because I made it 9 months and they didn't give me the money. They laid me off. He came and put out his... I said, you're going to put out your arm and you're going to walk me to the elevator. He came and put out his arm. And I merrily... waved at people and walked to my little box. And it wasn't until I got outside to I think it was Fifth Avenue with my box, and I just wept. I was free. And I've created my business after that.
Look at that. So, because your lemon turned into your legacy. So here you are now. And I think a lot of times people think building a legacy is easy, right? Or as long if I just get the right connection. But you have to have this discernment about yourself.
Yes.
And you also have to be aligned with who you know is the all of be all. And I think it's really important because for me, I didn't get really in tune with that until a little bit later. I remember when I first got my promotion, somebody had told me, a Latina woman to be exact, she said, Hattie, be you, but don't really be you. And she was like, this thing that you're doing with your hair, with your locks, like you may want to perm it. And, you know, like you can't be wearing these loud colors because that's not really a good leader. And, you know, like don't wear the makeup. Like when I tell you that lady read me through and through. And I was like, is this supposed to be my farewell? Like, how did we get here? But I took that and I internalized it. And for almost 6 months, I could see myself be somebody who I really wasn't. Right. And so that was one of those lemons that I constantly think about that can be triggering Because when people say, well, Hattie, you need to be like this, I'm like, oh no, because it took me a long time to get to who I am today, with no hair, with locks, with wig, like all these things. Yes. And I just think it's important for people, like, as you become who you were called to be, you can't listen to the naysayers. You can't listen to people who don't have the courage within themselves to be who they were called. And I call it performance, right? Some people say fake leadership, but I think a lot of times, especially as women of color, we are carrying so many things on our shoulders, right? And when we walk in a room, I tell people every day, you don't know how much it takes for me to put my hand on a doorknob, to straighten up, to have the right posture, make sure my hair, all the things are aligned, my tone is perfect, just so I can be appreciated in the room if that happens.
Right.
And so as we talk about the lemons that shape us, I also want to go in like, was there ever a moment you questioned continuing, or what anchored you to stay, maybe not in that job, but just to stay in being fully committed as an entrepreneur?
So many, and I'm trying to focus in. I want to quickly talk about how I wound up building a full-time business, because right at that time in 2008, I rented a healing space, started doing women's circles, started getting hired to speak publicly. I was coaching. I was in a coaching program, and it went well. I actually supported myself for 2 years.
Okay.
And then I had to go back to corporate because I found out I had a lot of fibroids, right? And I needed surgery, and it's much more expensive in your own business. So I got laid off right before my surgery in 2012. Had the surgery, had a breakup, and I was part-time in my work right at that point because I had it full-time, then I had to go part-time. So what I want to say too is like, don't feel bad if your business is part-time. Don't feel bad if you can only do it on the weekend. Don't feel bad if you had it full-time and now you got to veer away and go into a job and then come back, because this is your calling. This is a purpose. I don't see it as just, I don't know. I think there's a business there's a difference between, there are people who want to own many Big Macs. I mean, McDonald's, right? And then there are people, and that's great, they're investors. And then there are people who want to do something that's very bespoke, that's very unique, that's very you, that is coming from your soul. And that journey is not linear. It's spirally and it's moving up and down. So we are shamed when we have to do this. So I went back into corporate, and I was like, I gotta get the surgery. But I was still teaching. I was still speaking. I was still writing. I was getting hired to write. It was a lot. But when I got laid off right before my surgery, I was like, I was not ready to be laid off now. Universe, God, creator, why are you letting me off now?
What did I do?
Right. But then surgery, I got MRSA from the surgery. I had a breakup with somebody I thought was a soulmate. Then I'm in a car accident. I got warned, thank God. I was laying in the back seat, and, and her voice was like, sit up straight so you don't break your back. And next thing you know, my father lost control of the wheel because there was the tire burst and we're about to crash. And I'm like, really, God? I'm about to die now? I didn't go full time. Again, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I didn't take people to Peru and Mexico. I didn't do all the retreats. And Spirit's like, you're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. So my father got the wheel and we flipped over 3 times. When I crawled out of there, I heard go full time. Now, when I had to go full time, because I was laid off, because of all the things, it wasn't enough money, the unemployment that you get at the time. Right. My rent was over $2,000. I was not living in Manhattan. It was Queens. You're alone. There's no family. There's nothing. There's no generational wealth.
Right.
And I was like, really? I'm just going to go to corporate or somewhere else. I'll go be a teacher. I'll do something. And in that moment, this is crazy. Don't do this at home, boys and girls. I heard that I had to give up my apartment, let somebody else do it, live there for a while. And I had to grow my business from people's living rooms. I did it for 4 months. I created, and that's when I was really doubting. I was like, how can I be this old? Because I didn't do that at 21. I didn't do that at 22. I've always had my own place since I'm 21, 22. Even if I had to have 3 jobs in New York City. And everything's very expensive there. I mean, in the boroughs, you could get good meals and you could keep them for 2-3 days. You could eat them, you could get cheap pizza, that kind of thing. But everything costs. And I really was terrified. And again, nobody got me. But this time my mother said, you know what, do it. She's like, last time something told you to do it, you did it. And so it was very hard to step away again, to be let go from the corporate world, to be on your own where there was really no one doing exactly what I was trying to create.
Right, the resources.
And at the time I was called the Urban Priestess. And I didn't start with any grants. Like I recently got a creative entrepreneur grant for Improv Unleashed, my second business. But I didn't start like that. I basically made money and put it back in, made money, put it back in. And and you know how that goes, like with no job, right? I mean, at first with a job.
Oh yeah.
But in 2013, I came out with a 9-month program that had 3 retreats, 20 teachers, $9,000, $9,000 per person.
Right.
Now that sounds like a lot of money, but it's a 9-month program.
It's not.
I was doing coaching, I was doing hypnosis healing, and then they had the retreats. I never did it again. It was successful, but I was like, I'm tired.
Right.
It wasn't enough money. But I will tell you this, in that time, I lived in those 4 months, I went and slept on somebody's couch in Panama and wound up working in yoga studios, speaking, doing coaching, wound up in Costa Rica as like an intuitive coach and business coach. And business coach really came later when I was successful. I felt I did not want to present myself as a business coach until I had proven that I had succeeded online. That's what I felt. I didn't want to repeat stuff that I learned from a book. Personally, for me, like theory of business,
Right.
I needed to be like, listen, that marketing thing that they tell you in college or whatever, this is what you got to do right now. This is what you do right now because things changed since you graduated. So I made 6 figures that first year. But was it horrible putting somebody in my apartment? Was it horrible for those 4.5 months? It wasn't 4, it was 4.5, being a grown adult and sleeping on couches?
Right. Being an adult is trash. I just want to put that out there. Like,
Can we just do improv all day and like do the things we love and then help people build businesses and then dance out?
That's all I want to do. I told my mom, I was like, you know what? If I could be retired or just do what I want to do and all my bills would still be paid, I was like, that would be the
bills taken care of, and then we just do what we want.
Just want to do
because I don't want to not work, because I actually do love work. Sorry, quiet as it's kept.
Yeah,
I love the fulfillment of completing things. But that was a moment in my life where I was like, girl, just because Spirit told you doesn't mean. I was like, and there were times, and I want to say I have yelled and cried when people were at work, the people I was staying in their couches, and this is 2013 now, so this is quite a bit of time. And I'd be like, why did you take my job from me? Why couldn't you let me have that stability? Well, I built my business into full time. Why? I'm a good person. And let me tell you too, people were like, did somebody put a hex on you? Were you a bad person in another life? What have you done in this life? And all I kept getting was like, you know, I'm being turned into wine. I'm a grape being turned into wine. I'm a piece of coal being turned into a diamond. So I just kept getting, and so I kept going. But I'll tell you, that was like the most difficult time.
Right.
It was so hard. And then in 2020, a lot of my coaching clients, they lost their jobs. So I was successful 2013, was able to move back into my apartment. It was great. Stayed there, then moved here. And in 2020, my 6 clients that were on really nice contracts, all canceled them because their husband or themselves lost their jobs. And I sat there and I was like, oh boy, again, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? And I just went within and it was like, teach this. People are stressed out. They're anxious. You're a wellness guide. You're a practitioner. Do a certification. And I did it. I hit 6 figures. Then in 2021, more than double 6 figures.
Right.
And I worked a lot. I did a lot. But I'm saying sometimes you want to say sometimes it's bleakest before the dawn. I mean, I know it's corny, but there is a saying for a reason.
Right. And
I think we have to pay attention to our own inner knowing. I know people who call it inner knowing, but it's delulu. And they're delusional. And they're like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But they're not prepared. They jump off the cliff and they splat like the cartoon, right? But I will say that most of the time that something tells me inside that I have to fly and jump off the cliff, I fly and I'm terrified.
Right.
It doesn't happen often, but when it does, I do it. But I think we have to know our inner world.
Right.
We have to know what we're capable of.
Right.
We have to know our resilience. We have to be really aware of our skill set. And for me, I was already an expert in my field before I went online.
Right.
The business coaching came later. I got good at that later. But the healing work, the mindfulness work, the wellness work, I was already doing it like 16 years.
I think what you're talking about more is, one of our tagline is pressure to purpose, right? So you have to go through pressure in order to be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Appreciative, right? But also understand the journey. Because I always tell people, like, I am a vessel, right? The things that I go through, I want to tell you what I've been through so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I've made. But knowing that this journey where I am right now it was hard, right? Hard. We talk about pruning ourselves and all those things, questioning like, why? I'm such a good person. I didn't do this and I didn't do that. But sometimes those lemons are our assignment as a leader for who we're going to be in the future.
Getting chills.
And so I had to really come to grips with that, because I'm like, I'm not a bad person. You don't have to be a bad person to go through things. However, if that is your assignment in life, then you got to go through that so that can be a testimony for somebody else. And so one of the things that I really try to do is I always try to be like, okay, God, what is the perspective?
Yes.
What is the lesson in this?
Yes.
And sometimes I don't want to hear the lesson.
Right.
Sometimes I just want to be like, my guy, I'm going to need you to fix this because I got to go. There's things that I have in my brain that I want to do, that I see. You maybe hadn't told me, but what I see, and that I need to put in the paper, because sometimes I start comparing myself to other people. And I feel like even with that, like, there is no comparison.
No.
Because your gift is your gift. How you lead is how you lead. That lemon was definitely assigned to you. And so I really appreciate your story. Now, one thing I need the Lord to do, Lord, I need you to give me 6 figures. I'm going to need about 10 6-figure businesses. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to be like Vanessa.
Well, and I do want to say this, right? And I'm not trying to make fun of anyone, but when people come to me who don't really, and I know, I'm not talking about you because I know you have a lot of experience. I'm just going to make money as a speaker. You're not Michelle Obama, baby.
Yeah, it takes a lot to.
You're not Michelle Obama. I'm sorry, I love you. You're cute. And I don't talk like that because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I want to meet you where you're at. But I'm saying, so a lot of people, I'm just going to make money. I'm just going to do a course. I want you to know that I have spoken, I have written, I have created I've had several courses going on. Because if there's one $800 course and you get 20 people in there, I had an 8-week course that was 300 that 100 people got on. And that was building into it. It was years in, right? So I did the teaching online. I did the retreats, like 1 a year, because I was like, what can I manage? 1 a year that was out of the country. And that came later also, because I had to feel like, what is my capacity? But I always ask, what is my lesson? And sometimes I don't like it.
Yeah.
And I will say this, people are like, oh, you're good at marketing. You're good at getting in front of the camera. I'm shy. I go, do you know why I got in front of the camera? Because in 2016, too many of my people were falling apart.
Right.
I'm not going to get into it, but everybody was. And I got in front of the Facebook Live. I sat and I'm like, hey, I've been putting this off because I needed to lose weight, because I needed to do this. You're not here because I'm a model.
Right.
You're here because I have a flame. I am a vessel.
Right.
Because I'm channeling a particular energy that we need. I want to hold the space. People are like, we're beautiful. I love you. I'm like, no, you don't got to tell me that. But I realize like service is higher than our individual desire for anything.
Talk about servant leadership.
And that's when, and there's a difference between servitude, which I had to learn too, and service, which is another topic. But when I'm in service, but when I start to compare, and I have, because I've seen people, they're thinner, they're whiter, they're blue-eyed, they're blonde, they got no boobs. It's like the aesthetic of the waif and the aesthetic of the model.
Of what's right, what people think,
right? That this is a leader, this is a up-and-coming wellness person, etc. Right. And here I am, I got curves, and I love my curves. And I have my own beauty. Do I look like a model? No. Right. And so I'd see people who look like that was suddenly on the cover of a magazine. But then I found out they paid $30,000 to be on that magazine. And then I saw people who really didn't have a business. This is New York, who were suddenly inside magazines. And they're like, I'm a coach, I'm a this, I'm, posing with clothes. And I'd be like, girl, I just did a session with you last week. You are no such thing, right? But I can't say shiz because I don't want to get in trouble. And but I wouldn't do that. And whatever's done in privacy, and that's our privacy. But part of me wanted to go, but then I sit there, and you know what? A month later they're gone. A year later they're gone.
Right.
What is the proof in the pudding is that you keep making that pudding because it's your own unique recipe. And even when they copy you, and I had somebody steal a course And within a week, the person who was managing my server said that there were 3.5 thousand downloads. And we couldn't track them because somebody had put it on a VPN. So it was untrackable. So somebody stole my course, took the link of where the whole uploaded. I learned how to be more sophisticated now in that. And there were 3.5 thousand downloads. And you should have seen me crying on Instagram Live. If anybody sees it, let me know. And then people, are you going to back away now? I was like, no, because the wisdom, the light, when you're a vessel, it's infinite.
Right.
Just they stole one course. And so I think we have to be kind to ourselves, because what looks easy, I've also seen people like, how do they get that house and that apartment when they just started their business and they're saying that they're fully funded? Then it's so sad. 2 years. And I'm not jealous. Like I want, I'm like, I'm wondering what's going on. And then they're faking it. I'm $1 million. And I'm like, we had lunch the other day.
And I paid for it.
Right. And you couldn't even write it off. And but you know what I found? A family member, somebody gave them this incredible apartment or whatever to, do the photo shoot, to do the thing. 2 years later, they're crying because they got no support anymore. And now they have to go back. So for me, even though I felt like really hard won, like I was like banging my head against the wall, crying, throwing things against the wall, going, is it going to work? But I also listened to my audience. What does my audience need right now? What do my clients need? What does my community need?
Right.
And so even though it was really hard, and I don't compare myself now anymore, I have to say, but I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I still do compare myself to certain things and to certain people, but I also have to remind me, like, Hattie, this is you. This is what you were called to do, and it's okay. You may not receive the glitz and the glam like everybody else, but if it brings you joy, then that's what you were here to do. Yes. And so I really appreciate that. One of the last questions that I want to ask you is, we talk about what legacy do you hope your story creates for other women of color?
I think that we're told to present in a certain way what's acceptable, that our passion, our energy, our loud voices at times, our spirit, our fire's too much, but then people want to rein in and use it for their own business and their own startup.
That part.
So I hope that my legacy inspires women to their own fire, to trust themselves, that they are uniquely...
Trust your flame.
Trust your flame, that they're uniquely beautiful, that they're uniquely gifted. I'm going to cry. That if God and Creator put a desire in your heart, and I'm not saying that wanting Jimmy Choo's and Louis Vuittons is not cool. Like, yes, go for that because that makes you happy. But it's usually not that. That's that's a little cherry on top. The bag, the trip, that's a cherry. But what makes up the whole Sunday of the thing is the joy that you get flowing in your gifts, flowing with people who are ready to receive your message. And so to me, the legacy is I want you to be lit up. I want you to believe in yourself. I want you to have discernment, to trust yourself more and more. I'm letting go of people more, and not in a harsh way, not in a cutoff way, in a, here.
Yeah, you got to choose yourself.
And we have to choose ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that your work is going to change forms. It's going to change expression. But we have a God imprint, a divine imprint, that when we're born, we carry it within us. And it vibrates, right? You and I vibrating in our own imprints, like, ooh, I like yours. And the world needs that, especially now.
Right.
So I want the legacy of all BIPOC little girls, Latinx little girls, all of us, to be like, we matter. We deserve to be here. We don't need to prove ourselves anymore. And for God's sakes, women, mujeres, let's help each other. Ya basta with the bullshit, the backstabbing, con la mierda, okay, coño, carajo, pendejo. Okay, I'm going to bring it out. But I'm just like, let's love each other. And that's like part of Los Complicados was created. Like, let's go and celebrate cultura and culture and just be okay. Not the looking down, oh, that's low culture. Improv is low. The joke is low. No. Some colonizer told you that.
Yeah. Let's normalize sisterhood. Let's normalize bringing people with us. I try my best not to say I'm finna bring people. I want to bring those behind me. I'm like, no, I'm trying to bring people beside me.
Yes.
So we can walk in this thing together.
Yes.
And I am so grateful for just the opportunity to share this space with you, and knowing that there are people, other women of color, who believe and who are aligned in the same passions that I am. And I really just want my goal for, especially for this magazine, is that I want little black and brown girls and boys and people to be like, wow, I too can have my own magazine. I too can have my own improv. I too can do X, Y, and Z and not conform to what society says you have to be.
Yes.
But really taking that time to believe in yourself and believe in whatever dream that comes to mind, because that is who you are, right? That if a vision has been given to you, that's what it is. That's specifically for you.
And it takes time.
Absolutely.
Because modern day, with its little like 30-second, TikTok videos, it's like it's overnight. It's not overnight, because you're going to have to undo. You're going to have to heal. You have to decolonize. And then you're going to have to be like, who am I really? And where do I really fit? And what really works for me?
Right.
And then it could be like, oh, now I have kids. That doesn't work for me anymore. Right? Because it's like we shift as we're growing and living and learning. And I want to say too, at mid-age now, I've become, I have my main business, and I have Improv Unleashed, where I do improv for businesses and nonprofits. And then I suddenly am on stage doing a solo show, right? Perra, puta, loca, bruja, bitch, whore, crazy witch. And those words are because all of my ancestors had to deal and they shrunk at those words. I have at times shrunk at being, oh, you're going to be a puta, you're going to be this if you do that. And so I become my ancestors in that show. And at one point I got scared, because now I'm going to be doing it in Carlisle, and then I'm going to be doing it in New York. And I was like, oh my God, who am I? I did. I'll be honest. Like, I was like, who am I? Yeah, I've been doing improv, I've been doing this, I've performed, I've sang in a band, I've done things. Who am I? And I'm like, who are you not? Didn't you live a life? Didn't you live a life, girl? Aren't you already working in ancestral healing? And I see that show as ancestral healing, because I become my grandmothers and my mother and my mentor, and they're all deceased, which was painful. And so if you have a dream, whatever it is, if you're like, wait, I'm a business owner, now you're like, I'm going to do a show.
Walk in it.
Yes.
You got to walk in your purpose. You definitely have to walk in your purpose. Vanessa, look, we finna take people all the way to church.
Yes.
So I am so grateful for you. So last closing reflection, I want you to finish this sentence. I am no longer becoming who I was told to be. I am becoming who?
Deeply rooted in my ancestral knowing. Devoted to sisterhood. Living fully without fear. And shining brightly in my courage.
I love that. Don't you cry on this podcast. I don't want people thinking that I need to cry.
But it's true. It's real. It's real.
Yeah, I felt that.
And when we can cry, it's because we feel safe enough to do it.
Well, thank you for feeling safe with me. I greatly
I do. I adore you.
Thank
you are inspiring.
You
are powerful. You are beautiful. You are incredible. I just love the way you speak from your soul and your heart and your soul. And I love what you're doing, what you're building, and I'm here to support it.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, okay, everybody, that concludes our first episode of The Lead Up. When I tell you this has been an experience, please stay tuned, because The Lead Up is launching this spring. It's going to be print and digital. We are coming to a bookstore, a stand near you. Please, 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 if nobody has told you today, you are loved, you are valued, and you are worthy. Turn those lemons into your legacy. Peace.